Hey guys, welcome to the Heart of David. Hope you guys are doing well today, or wherever you are, whatever time it is, whatever time zone. The topic of today's video is stay out of the world. Stay out of the world as much as you can. You and I, that's a hard saying for some people, especially when you're first walking into this whole mess. It's not a mess, it's a good mess, but trying to learn all the different things. What does it mean? There's nothing bad about Christ. That's not what I'm saying. Don't blame me. Sorry, my mood's kind of up today, so so that's what I'm going to talk about. I'm just going to tell you other things I'm going to talk about today as well. In the book of Jude, reviling, where does that come from? When Michael, the archangel, says he doesn't bring a reviling accusation against the devil. I'm going to talk about that, and that's just a quick topic, but it's interesting. I'm just going to go ahead and then get to the other things. At the very end of my video today, because I got a message, I don't know, it was about a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, from someone from my other channel saying that I had helped them out a lot about pain. Talking about my pain, talking about mental pain, both. Talking autism, so don't ever confuse autism with mental illness. They're not the same things. But there is mental illness in autism for sure. And so his comment made me rethink some of the things that I want to talk about in my videos. And this is the consensus that I have come to. What does it serve you to talk about the bad things that I've been through in my life? And that's why I kind of stopped making as many videos on my other channel about pain and all that type of stuff. Actually, I changed the name to Moving Forward. But you know, there are a lot of people this is what I realized, there are a lot of people going through a lot of heavy times. So if I tell you something, I'm not going to elaborate, I'm not going to tell you so much, I'm not going to overshadow my message, you know, like 60-40 of bad things that I've gone through, because I want you to see where I am now. So I will talk about one thing in the end, and it was very frightening for me. And so I'll say that in the end. So, first topic. This is confusing for a lot of people. You and I cannot please God by being in the world, being worldly. Anyways, I don't believe so. What does it mean to not be of this world? And I believe it's especially true today. Just give me a second. I gotta think. Just give me a sec. I'll give you an example. Like let's just say like my former life, going out, that doesn't have to be this, but going out, going to the bar, you know, always having to go out and be around friends. You know, you just have this feeling inside of you that you have to go out and you can't be satisfied without doing certain things. There's nothing wrong with going out and shooting some pool. There's nothing wrong with going out like have a motorcycle, right? Go out, have a good time on my motorcycle. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you focus your life around I'll give you another example. Anywhere you live, it doesn't matter, but especially where I live because it's an apartment building, or like at school, right? At school, or even university, there's always groups of people. So say I walk out of this building and there's like 4 people. When you walk out, this is just the norm. You see the same people talking to each other, and you see a lot of people who go from person to person, and it's the same thing every day. And I'm not going to say there's anything wrong with that. That's not what I'm saying. Depending on what they're talking about, right? Idle talk is a devil's plaything. Idle hands are too. But I don't want to be part of that anymore. It doesn't mean I'm not going to stop and talk to someone. But if I'm going to stop and talk to someone, I'm going to talk about something that matters. I want to stay true to myself. I don't want to go in a group of, say, 4 people who are always talking at the same time of day or whatever, and go in conversations that I just don't feel like I belong. And if you watch those Chosen One videos, of which I do, by the way, some of them are good. Some of them are really good. Anthony the Witness, go look that up. I really like that guy. Now I lost what I was going to say. Anyways, there's a recommendation right there. I think you understand, right? Here's another example. Let's say the news, social media. And when I say social media, you're going to say, well, Dave, you're on camera. This is social media. This is a way for me to sometimes teach, I suppose, to evangelize, and just to spread a good message of hope to you guys. That's good. And you know what? You can become very proficient with your hands. You can learn things. You can learn music. You can learn mechanics. You can learn woodwork. You can learn art, all on YouTube. And you know, in China, that's what they do. They don't allow all these videos that we have, but to be in that, to go on to Facebook and to always be posting and doing all those things, that's to be in the world. Your life will get infinitely better if you get away from those things. And I don't mean you can't keep in contact with people. That's not what I'm saying, or sell things or whatever. We couldn't survive without some of those things. So, what other examples would I give? Worldly, to lust things, to the love of money, the love of cars, homes, all that type of stuff. You say, well, you just got a motorcycle, so what? I need transportation. I really love riding it, but I don't love it like that. I don't covet it. If I had $100,000, I wouldn't covet it. I might feel more comfortable, but that's to be really worldly. I don't go after those types of things. I'm not chasing that. What matters to me is Jesus Christ and his appearing. But we don't have to live just for that. He sent his Spirit on earth so we can live with faith, right? We can still have it good here even when we don't have that much. So that's what I wanted to explain about that. I think I explained enough. My previous life was fully 100% worldly, as were some of you. All of us probably, right? Just give me a sec. you're wondering what's written on there, I've been studying quite a bit for pre-studying for university. So when I walk into university, I already know interviewing tactics and all that type of stuff. So I'm learning them, and what's written on there is the 12 negative thought patterns. They're really cool, actually. I'll just give you an example. Mind reading and fortune telling. They're just ways that you can look at any conversation and pick out these negative thought patterns. Like fortune telling. Well, I think that speaks for itself when people pretend to know what's going to happen. And so, anyways, that's what that is. My second thing, I don't really like making videos about just one topic because although I say I don't like making long videos, I suppose I do, but and I like speaking up here a lot more than I do when I'm sitting down to dinner. But follow my next video, by the way. I think you'll like it. It's already edited. I just have to put it up. Excuse me. The second thing for today. Don't get cocky. Don't get cocky. Don't get cocky in your journey about things you know. About when you continue to get revelation from God, when you read more and you learn more about the Bible, everyone everyone gets to a certain point that has faith in Christ that you learn to put those things aside. But what I wanted to speak about this topic is, don't get cocky if God starts to exalt you in certain ways. Say you start keeping faith and he decides to bless you. Don't get cocky. Don't be like Nebuchadnezzar. I did this, speaking like Satan, right? It was me. I built this up. I defeated these nations. I did this. I did that. Once you start getting into those frames of mind, that's why I say you have to be born again. Because when you start thinking about things like that, then you're going to be chastened. And it's not going to be nice. So I think that through our journey, a lot of people get cocky in many different ways. And you know what one thing is when you make a video, you never know the people who's making a comment in your video. When you're the person making the video, sometimes you just have to become indifferent to some people. You don't know where they're from, why they're doing it, or just they think they know a lot, right? You never know. And so a lot of people are very trigger happy to put comments in the comments section refuting things that are true. So give me a second. That's what I wanted to talk about with the second one. Reviling. So I just wanted to go to into Reddit. I'm not even going to go to Jude. This is Jude 1:9. I was just thinking about this. Where did the author get... sorry, my throat. Where did that come from? I always wondered that. Like, why is it that only Jude knows that Michael didn't bring a reviling accusation against Satan? That's a good question, isn't it? So let's take a look. Give me a sec. So it's a pretty good question, I think. So the first thing here, this is 9 years ago. The Jewish Testament of Moses, this is what this person says. We only have pieces of this text, but in it, Satan and Michael argue over where the body of Moses should be buried. You and I cannot claim to know more than this. This is a big question because it was debated whether or not Moses was righteous or not, because he wasn't allowed to enter the promised land. We know why that happened. He's absolutely righteous because he was faithful in all his house. That's what it says. If his body was buried in Jerusalem, then he was righteous. If he wasn't, he would have been buried elsewhere. Satan argued that he wasn't righteous. Michael argued that he was. The whole point of this reference, and this is what I wanted to talk about, it makes sense. The whole point of this reference was that Michael didn't even slander the name of the devil. Why not? Well, there's two things in this. So the devil, the slanderer, even when they argued, but that's what the intruders were doing. So number one, so many things have been taken away through destruction of temples, text and all that type of stuff. So obviously they knew something, something that you and I can't really claim to know about now. But it brings in another thought to me, and maybe to many of you, because for me in my journey, I started really understanding about the way people are because of what a narcissist did to me. And I'm sure that's the way a lot of people come to Christ. And what does that have to do with this? Sorry guys, my mind is just kind of fogging. It's because of my back. It's not that bad today, but it just keeps coming and going. The slanderer. So think about that. The devil accuses night and day. Does that sound like anybody? The narcissist. A narcissist. What the devil does is exactly what a covert narcissist would do to you. So would an overt, but you get my point. This stuff that's really evil. And I think, to be honest, I believe they follow the same pattern. And I think what's in here is amazing because I see something here. Michael didn't even bring a railing accusation against the devil. But why not? Just like we go through these journeys with a narcissist, what are you and I told to do? What are we supposed to do when we learn who they are? Well, become indifferent, but don't react to them. Isn't that something? That goes to show that maybe it works with the devil and Michael. Because he wants you to argue, right? Conversational inducement. They just want you to keep, because it'll just keep perpetuating everything. That's just what I wanted to say about that. So, Jude 1. There was something else I was going to talk about, but I'm going to just get to a point in my life that was one of the most horrible. It was during the most horrible time of my life. It was in 2016, and I'll give some more context and I'll tell you about this. It's in my book that I talk about it more in depth, but just give me a second and then I'll finish my video. You didn't bring a railing accusation against the devil. Leave room for God. God will have revenge. I believe it full-heartedly. I know it because that's what it says. And you know what happens, so. Not that we hope for it, like, for me, I just hope justice is done. I don't look at it away in revenge, like I'm smiling and stuff like that, no. And when I hear of things, bad things happening to people that have troubled me in my life, I don't get like that, or I don't want to, you know. So you see me walking back and forth here. I have a disease in my spine. It's a disease of scarring of the spinal canal, and it's called adhesive arachnoiditis, and it's the end stage of it. It's a progressive disease. So let me see if I can, I don't know, use this. Say that's like your spinal canal, right? Let's just say the spinal canal is going up. In there you have nerve roots, and you have nerve roots at each vertebrae, right? I don't even use that. And with this, once you have some type of injury, accident, whatever it is, an inflammatory process begins. And once it begins, it becomes progressive. It doesn't stop. You can slow it down. And it has active phases when it, like, you may have progressions. I had 2 of them, and they're extremely debilitating. It's the most debilitating pain there is on this earth. And then people say, well, look, you look okay. You have no idea. I'm on meds. I have to do so many things in my life. And most people, well, I don't know. I don't want to make that generalization, but aren't doing that well. Adhesive is the end stage. There's arachnoiditis, which means inflammation of the spine. Arachnoiditis. That means spider web. You think of a spider, right? Arachnoid. It just means on a microscope, when you look at the spine, it looks like a spider web, and those are scar tissue, adhesions. And you have nerve roots in your spine at each vertebrae level. And arachnoiditis is just like inflammation begins. And if enough of that inflammation happens, it can start attaching from nerve root to nerve root. And all of a sudden that nerve root may attach to the canal wall. That's why they call it adhesive arachnoid matter, which is like the edge of your spinal canal. Anyways, you can understand with the world's most painful pain in my legs and lower back why I have trouble. You see me leave the screen a lot. It's also due to abdominal pain though, but this is on par with terminal cancer pain. That's just, I say that and because it's true. It's what it says in the literature. So, and I know it because away from opiates, it's a horrific life. It's the only disorder that you can, that's the only disorder on earth that the first treatment is give them opiates, because that's that bad. Go figure. The disease I get, the nickname for it is called the devil's disease and the disease of no hope, because people were pretty much done in. I don't know, of late there's a lot more treatments, as you can see. Well, for me, one of the things is obviously God in my life. I couldn't do it without God. So I just wanted to give you an overview of what this is. And the symptoms are much like MS, but much worse pain, because, and it's also centralized, meaning it's intractable, it never will stop. because it's affecting the nerve roots, you're getting neurological symptoms of pain and tingling and whatever it is, burning, crushing, stabbing. But in this, it's scorpion stings. It feels like a scorpion is stinging its, using its stinger on your legs. That's how bad this can get sometimes. There were times where I'd be walking down a road or down a hallway, and you could audibly hear me moaning. Just horrific. And when you get a pain flare, because of those adhesions in your spine, I'll get to the story. Imagine you have adhesions in your spine, right? So there's scar tissue. It's just like my torn back right now. When you tear your back, when it's healing, it develops scar tissue, and it starts healing. And if I twist the wrong way too quickly, if I lift something too heavy, those adhesions in the spine, can you imagine, in the spinal canal, they get torn from the nerves, from the wall, and you get a pain flare equal to terminal bone cancer pain for a month for lifting something heavy. That's how bad this is, man. Just give me a second. I'm going to tell you what happened to me in 2016. I wasn't doing well in my life, and this was the suicidal phases. I'm not going to tell you what I did, but I'm just going to tell you that I ended up in hospital, and they kept me there for 2 months. And they kept me there, I suppose it was for what they were calling major depression due to pain. That's what they told me, major depression due to pain. And they didn't feel comfortable letting me out, because if they let me out, I probably would have gone that way again. That's not what this is about. I'm just telling you a story. Just give me a sec. What this disease does to people is frightening. I was couch-bound and bed-bound for 10 years. Close to 10 years. It was 9.5 years. I had a lot of other difficulties too, but I was walking as slow as an advanced Parkinson's patient at that time. I didn't know what my diagnosis were. All I knew was I had some type of intractable pain. And by that time I had injuries on my body already. And they were very painful, and they were quite fresh too. So I had so many things at once. I was so depressed. There I was, stuck in a psychiatric ward. And there was no way of getting out. I didn't smoke anymore, really. Maybe I'd take one puff. And I remember they transferred me from one hospital to another, which terrified me. I was only on short-acting opiates. It was the wrong stuff to be on. They took away my only anti-inflammatory from my spine. Like neuro anti-inflammatory, which means it reaches my spine. That was taken away 3 times, I think, from me. And each time I went downhill because of it. It was very healing to my spine. But compared now and back then, I was on like half as much painkiller. I wasn't exercising, wasn't eating any of those things. I wasn't speaking because I didn't have a diagnosis for my throat or my abdomen. I didn't have the Moderna thing happen yet, but I just had a big heart thing. I'm just trying to think. Guys, I wasn't speaking. I guess you would call that selective mutism is what you would call it. I guess you'd find that in depression. You'd also find that in autism. But I was never like that through my life. It was because every time I spoke, I couldn't breathe. That was the reason. So I chose not to. And I want you to imagine this for a second. I wasn't on long-acting painkillers, so every time those short-acting would wear off, it was like I was dragging my feet everywhere I went. And you say, I thought you were bedbound. It was around that time that I was forced to my feet. I didn't have to. If I would have laid down all day, it was very tough for me, and I feel like I couldn't breathe for other reasons that due to my throat that I didn't understand yet. So here I was. This is where I started to build up endurance in my legs. This is where it all started. You know, you're stuck in a place with, they transferred me to a place where more people who were more depressed, people who had PTSD, you know, the more severe cases were. And this was my reality. Imagine this for a second. You're stuck in a place with pain as painful as terminal cancer. And when I say that, that really rings true when you don't have medication, okay? That's how painful it is. So that is me, but I am medicated, so it makes it less. What they did to me, I do say that. I walked down those hallways for 2 months. 1 month in one hospital, another in the next. Back and forth all day. And I'd wake up early in the morning because I'd hear noises. And like 5 o'clock in the morning, go to bed at like 11, wake up at 5. And I'd wake up in fright and just horror. Because I had to get up, slowly make my way, and ask them for medication. And at the beginning, it was like, no, you got to wait till 8. But we'll give you part of this. I felt cursed. I felt like, here's the reality. What if that was your grandmother? What if it was your grandmother with, this is what I say, with terminal cancer pain, and they wouldn't give you your meds when you wake up in the morning, and your mother was walking down those hallways for 2 months? That's what I did for 2 months. I have no idea if that was God chastening me, or building me up, rather. I had so much abdominal pain for so many different reasons that I didn't want to lie down. You know, I was already squirming around enough as it is, both in my lower back and legs and my abdomen, and I had an injury, a brachial plexus on my right side, and more. It was a horrifying time in there. That's one of the times I remember. But I understand, like looking back now, these are the kinds of things that I didn't want to bring to my channel, but I wanted to let you know that I did go through them. Just give me a sec. You know, it doesn't, this doesn't edify anyone, but for me, maybe it does. For me, it was a trial and tribulation. Can you imagine? What if you had just a kidney stone, and you walked the hallways like that for that long? I don't know. There's no way for me to just compare to you how bad it was. Excuse me. big spasm. Still happening. But if you know God, listen, we've all been through bad things, right? At some point, and some more than others. It's okay to look back at those things and say, you know, now I have faith in God, and maybe I would do that differently if anything ever like that happened again. That's all I can say to it. It was a horrible time. Walking around feeling like you couldn't even express yourself. I didn't even speak really for 2 to 3 years. I say 2 years, but it was probably longer. More than a few words per day. Anyways, guys, that's not to, I don't want to finish it off on that note. We all go through something. We all come to faith in Christ for some reason. So anyways, guys, God bless.